Imagine for a moment stepping through a wardrobe not into Narnia, but into a world where politics are as bizarre as they are unforgiving, and human nature is laid bare in ways both hilarious and harrowing. Welcome to the whimsical yet profoundly critical universe of Jonathan Swift's Gulliver's Travels. This book, published way back in 1726, might seem like a tale from a distant past, but its sharp social commentary still resonates with us today, much like a well-aged wine that only gets better with time. Our journey begins with Lemuel Gulliver, a pragmatic surgeon who dreams of adventure and scientific discovery. He's the kind of character we can all relate to, someone who believes in reason and logic but is also deeply human, with flaws and foibles aplenty. Swift chose to make Gulliver an outsider, both literally and figuratively, as he travels through 4 fantastical lands that mirror different aspects of human society. This choice allows Swift to offer a detached, often satirical look at the world, free from bias or personal prejudices. The first leg of Gulliver's journey takes him to Lilliput, where he finds himself not just a giant among dwarfs, but also a pawn in their political machinations. The Lilliputians, with their tiny size and even tinier sense of proportion, are obsessed with trivialities that Swift uses to satirize the petty rivalries and power struggles that define human politics. Here, Gulliver's very survival becomes an instrument for these minuscule rulers to play out their own grandiose schemes, much like how real-world leaders often use the lives of ordinary citizens as pawns in their political games. But Lilliput is just the beginning. As we travel further with Gulliver, we encounter Brobdingnag, a land where he becomes an insect-like figure among giants. This reversal of perspective is no mere novelty. It serves to highlight our own human prejudices and how they can blind us to the inherent worth of others, regardless of their size or appearance. Swift's portrayal of Brobdingnagian society, with its focus on reason and kindness, offers a stark contrast to the self-serving and often cruel nature of politics in Lilliput. The narrative then takes an even more fantastical turn as Gulliver visits the flying island of Laputa, where he encounters a people so obsessed with abstract learning that they've lost touch with practicality. Here, Swift pokes fun at the ivory tower mentality and how intellectual pursuits can sometimes become divorced from reality and ethical considerations. The Laputans' aloofness and preoccupation with their own theories make for a fascinating critique of academia and its potential dangers when unchecked by common sense. Finally, Gulliver's travels bring him to the land of Houyhnhnms, where he finds himself among horse-like creatures who embody reason and virtue. This idyllic society stands in stark contrast to all that has come before it, offering a glimpse into what Swift might have considered an ideal human community based on wisdom, justice, and ethical behavior. However, Gulliver's own humanity is also put on trial here, as he struggles with the idea of returning to his own flawed world after experiencing such perfection. Throughout these fantastical adventures, Swift weaves together a tapestry of satire, social commentary, and philosophical inquiry that challenges readers to look at their own societies and behaviors through a new lens. The characters Gulliver meets, from the cunning Lilliputians to the wise Houyhnhnms, serve as mirrors reflecting various aspects of human nature, both good and bad. But what makes Gulliver's Travels truly remarkable is how it manages to be both entertaining and thought-provoking. Swift's storytelling prowess keeps us engaged from beginning to end, with its vivid descriptions and memorable characters. He masterfully balances humor with deeper themes, allowing us to laugh at our own foibles while also being forced to confront uncomfortable truths about the world we live in. So, as we embark on this literary adventure with Lemuel Gulliver, let us keep an open mind and a critical eye. For in these pages, Swift invites us to question not just the societies he describes, but also the one we inhabit. And perhaps, in doing so, we might find ways to make it a better place for all who call it home. As we delve deeper into Jonathan Swift's Gulliver's Travels, our journey takes us first to the fantastical realm of Lilliput, where Gulliver finds himself bound and gagged by tiny beings who are both formidable in their miniature strength and comically endearing in their human frailties. The Lilliputians represent a microcosm of European society during Swift's time, with all its petty rivalries, bureaucratic inefficiencies, and absurd prejudices. Their king, for instance, is more concerned with the height of his subjects' heels than he is with the welfare of his kingdom. This obsession with trivial matters reflects the political squabbles and superficial concerns that plagued 18th century England. The Lilliputians' treatment of Gulliver also serves as a commentary on colonialism and power dynamics. Gulliver, much larger than them, becomes an object of fascination and exploitation, akin to how colonizers viewed indigenous peoples, both useful and potentially dangerous. His ability to be manipulated by the king underscores Swift's critique of those who wield power without true understanding or empathy. The Lilliputians' jealousy towards Gulliver is a reflection of their own insecurities and limitations, much like the real-world nations that Swift was satirizing. Contrast this with Brobdingnag, where Gulliver finds himself in another world of extremes, this time towering over the inhabitants who seem almost childlike in comparison. The Brobdingnagians are giants, yet they possess a profound wisdom and moral clarity that is absent in the more diminutive Lilliputians. Their king, Glorious Bulk, and his queen are not only physically imposing, but also morally admirable, valuing truth, justice, and reason above all else. This stark difference highlights Swift's exploration of relative perspectives and how our worldview can be profoundly shaped by our environment. The Brobdingnagian court offers a critique of human nature in its purest form, uncorrupted by the complexities of society as we know it. The king's questioning of Gulliver about European customs and government reveals Swift's satirical take on the flaws within those systems: hypocrisy, greed, and ignorance. When Glorious Bulk asks Gulliver why his own country is at war with Lilliput, he receives a nonsensical explanation that only serves to highlight the absurdity of such conflicts. Gulliver's experiences in Brobdingnag also expose the arrogance and self-importance of humanity, especially through the lens of the Houyhnhnms, the horse-like creatures who embody reason and virtue. The Yahoos, on the other hand, are anthropomorphic beasts that Gulliver finds repulsive, seeing them as a reflection of his own species at its worst, brutal, selfish, and devoid of higher moral qualities. This duality within humanity is a central theme in Gulliver's Travels, challenging us to question our own nature and the values we hold dear. In both Lilliput and Brobdingnag, Swift uses Gulliver as a mirror to reflect on societal norms, governance, and human behavior. The contrast between these two extreme worlds forces readers to confront their biases and reevaluate their place in the world. Through Gulliver's eyes, we see how society can be both absurdly petty and morally bankrupt, or wise and virtuous, depending on its guiding principles. In essence, Swift's portrayal of these fantastical realms serves as a powerful critique of human nature and societal structures. By visiting Lilliput and Brobdingnag, Gulliver, and by extension, the reader, is invited to question the very foundations of our world, much like how he questions the absurdities he encounters in these lands of wonder and folly. As Gulliver continues his incredible journey, he finds himself transported to two more fantastical lands that serve as further mirrors to our own world, Laputa and Glubbdubdrib. Each of these destinations offers a poignant commentary on political corruption and the human condition, inviting readers to reflect deeply on governance, knowledge, and the often misguided nature of human ambition. Laputa, the floating island, is an allegory for Swift's disdain towards the intellectual elite who are more concerned with their academic pursuits than with practical application or real-world governance. The Laputans are portrayed as absent-minded scholars who neglect the very people beneath them in Blefuscu and Balnibarbi, much like how Swift believed that the British aristocracy often ignored the needs of common citizens while indulging in frivolous scientific endeavors. Their constant preoccupation with abstract mathematics and music, rather than practical matters, is a biting critique of the intellectual disconnection from reality that Swift observed among the ruling classes. The floating nature of Laputa itself symbolizes the precariousness of power when it's not grounded in empathy or responsibility. The island can be lowered as punishment to remind its inhabitants of their duty to the lands below, but this threat is rarely exercised, highlighting a system where those in charge are more interested in maintaining their own comfort than in serving their people effectively. Gulliver's observation that the Laputans seem more fascinated by their mathematical devices and theories than by the real-world consequences of their actions underscores Swift's broader critique of the Enlightenment's tendency to prioritize scientific advancement over ethical considerations. Moving on to Glubbdubdrib, we find a land where necromancy allows Gulliver to summon historical figures from the past. This section is rich with philosophical reflections and political satire as Gulliver engages in conversations with kings, philosophers, poets, and warriors across different eras. The dialogue is not just a showcase of wit, but a profound commentary on the nature of leadership and wisdom. Swift uses these encounters to illustrate how many historical figures were more concerned with their own glory or self-interest than with serving the public good. For instance, Gulliver's conversations with Alexander the Great and Caesar highlight the destructive nature of unchecked ambition and military conquest. These rulers are depicted as ruthless leaders who sought power at any cost, a cautionary tale about the dangers of authoritarianism and the importance of moral leadership. On the other hand, Gulliver's interactions with philosophers like Aristotle and Plato provide a more positive perspective on governance, emphasizing virtues such as justice, wisdom, and moderation. These conversations serve to remind readers that true greatness is not measured by military prowess or wealth, but by one's ability to lead with integrity and compassion. Through these encounters, Swift also critiques the concept of hero worship and the glorification of historical figures who may have had more negative impacts than positive ones. He questions why we often remember conquerors and rulers rather than the common people whose lives were shaped by their decisions. This reflection on memory and history is particularly relevant in today's world, where narratives can be selectively curated to serve particular agendas. In essence, Laputa and Glubbdubdrib are not just fantastical destinations, but laboratories of ideas that challenge readers to think critically about the nature of power, wisdom, and leadership. They invite us to question our own values and the systems we inhabit, encouraging a more reflective and ethical approach to governance and personal conduct. In reading Gulliver's Travels, we embark on a journey that is as much an exploration of Swift's worldview as it is a reflection on our own. The book serves not just as entertainment, but as a powerful tool for social commentary and philosophical inquiry. It challenges us to consider the flaws in human nature and societal structures, prompting us to strive for a more enlightened and compassionate world. Whether we find ourselves in Lilliput's petty politics or Laputa's detached intellectualism, Gulliver's Travels reminds us of the importance of empathy, wisdom, and moral responsibility in shaping our actions and decisions. In conclusion, Gulliver's Travels is a timeless masterpiece that continues to resonate with readers across generations. Its blend of political satire and philosophical reflection offers profound insights into the human condition and the complexities of governance. By immersing ourselves in Gulliver's adventures, we are invited to question our own beliefs and to strive for a better future, one where the lessons Swift so masterfully conveys can guide us towards more enlightened leadership and a kinder world.